Hello, you guys. It is me, Jorge Rodriguez Pagan. I go by George Rodriguez Pagan here in America, and or the United States of America, United. And welcome to Becoming One. Becoming One is a podcast that is in partnership with FOCA, which is Foundations of Cosmic Awareness. It is a club that I founded in the fall of 2026, and it's pretty much alongside with Becoming One, the podcast that you're listening to right now, is a safe space for all of us to ask questions beyond what we already know, right? So I'm actually really excited about this because I've been literally planning on starting this podcast since December of 2024. It's December 2025. By the time you're listening to this, it's probably already January of 2026, which is already kind of proving one of my claims, which is that, right now you're watching me. This is your present, but it's my past, but it's also your future because I'm going to be posting this later. So time is not linear, right? And I feel like that is definitely one of the claims that we're going to be discovering and kind of diving into, which is really, really fun because I just have it's just so many perspectives and ideas and research that I've done about the cosmics, right? So what I mean by asking questions that we don't know about yet, which is what this safe space is for, is that, we are so programmed to kind of only go by and obey whatever it's put in front of us based on history, right? But what a lot of people tend to forget is that we are making history as we breathe, blink, and experience this human lifestyle, right? I had a conversation with my mom the other day, and we were just kind of diving deep into, just the overall aspect of the world. And I tell her, like, I feel like often we're so quick to forget that we are part of history to someone that is going to look back to us hundreds and years from now, the same way that we do for, let's say, Albert Einstein and all of these people from back in the days. We are going to be someone's back in the day, right? And so in that theory, and not even in that theory, in that fact, in that lane of, us being very unique and all of our experiences being highly, highly credible and just, once in a lifetime of a situation, there is so much in this human world, in this cosmic world, in this planet that we have to unravel. And this first episode, I was going to actually start it very easy. I was going to explain what Becoming One is, what FOCA is, where did it all come from, and which I will. But I went through this situation this morning where I just had to 100% dive into what my brain is scattering in this moment right now. So I'll do some brief explanations about, where the Becoming One and FOCA really come about, and then we'll dive right into the topic of what we're going to call the age of disclosure, right? So Becoming One and FOCA. So Becoming One and FOCA came about kind of the idea of like, oh, all of us have these thoughts and questions about the cosmos, but not often do we talk about them, and very, very often we're kind of like programmed to believe that only scientists can have these conversations, that only scientists are credible to these conversations. But us civilians are just as credible as scientists within these conversations because we are the ones that fully produce the production of consciousness alongside of them. Consciousness, if many of us don't know, consciousness, which we're going to get deeper into in different episodes, but consciousness, I'll do a brief introduction. It's like a computer, right? Like a huge computer that we all have a branch to, right? So let's say we are all, like, you are watching me or you're listening to me and I am recording this episode, right? So we are collecting this we are experiencing this collective consciousness by you being able to listen to me and me being able to record this, and you're seeing whatever's around you right now, and I'm seeing whatever is around me right now. So that production of the visual of what's in front of us is helped by consciousness, right? So we are a collective conscious as a human race, right? And we have come to a conclusion where we are open to talk about these topics now, right? Especially in 2025, especially if you see the waves of TikTok influencer, even music influencers that kind of speak about these topics very, very subtly. And I mean, TikTok is very direct, as well as Instagram Reels. Music is subtle. It's very, very subtle. Movies, sometimes it's direct and sometimes it's subtle. Documentary is direct but subtle, because I feel like, especially with the documentary that I saw today, The Age of Disclosure, they say a lot but not enough, if that makes sense. Because although we don't have the answers to everything, we have enough answers to conclude a lot of things. So we're just going to start with the simple fact. I have some bullet points in front of me, because if not, I really will get off track with a lot of the situations that are happening at the moment, because it's just so much. But just to kind of wrap up what I was saying earlier is that, they make us believe that we're not the only ones that are supposed to be talking about that only scientists are the ones that are supposed to be talking about this, but civilians have just the same amount of right to talk about this and be a part of it as them, because we're all a collective consciousness. And that's how Becoming One and FOCA really came about, because one crazy night, not crazy, just a regular sober night, because a lot of people will start making conceptions and skepticism and just stigma, like kind of like stories behind everything that I say, because maybe they don't want people to know everything that I'm about to mention, or maybe they do because they just came out with a documentary about it. So who knows? How far I'm gonna get into it is what's really gonna determine what they want you to know or not. Long story short, when I was about 21 years old, I'm 26 now, I had a dream where I was in an airport, then I ended up in this apartment, and then pretty much I was hyper aware of the entire situation, right? Then I wake up and I was like, whoa, what was that about? I want to go back. The next night I actually end up going back, and then I looked at myself in the mirror, and then I looked at my hands, and I saw my aura, which is the colors of your aura, which is red and blue. This is my personal experience, you know what I mean? This is definitely based on all the research that I've done. This is what it has concluded to, and I'm not saying it's 100%, but I am saying it's 99%. And so it led me to question, why did I feel like I was somewhere else while I was sleeping? And that was when I was 21 years old, right? Years went by. I think I was 23 years old. I was working at Applebee's, and I had one of our bartenders. She used to be a spiritualist. She used to talk about, like crystals and all that stuff. She used to make the necklaces and the earrings, and I think she still does. So if you ever check her out, her name is Jewel by Evie. She's the one that told me that the colors that I saw between my hands during my dream were my aura, right? Fast forward to me being 25, I have done very intense peer-reviewed research, articles, treaty. I'm talking about reports from the CIA from back in 1945 to 1971, to every single UFO report that's ever been in Arrow and Newfork. These are all credible resources that are accessible to the public, right? And that's not to say what is still being hidden from us, right? During that time of research, I realized a few things. So I read this book it was Textbook. It's an academic book that has a lot of peer-reviewed research from 1965 down to when it was published, which was 2005. I'll leave some links down below. I think the author was Jay Harbo or something like that. And pretty much what this author was talking about in all of the peer-reviewed work from neurologists and etc. is that consciousness is not only produced during the waking state of mind, which is us being awake right now, you listening to this podcast, me recording it, but it also produces during rapid eye movement, which is your deep sleep, which is when you're dreaming. And those dreams that I was having, where I was able to make decisions in and understand that I'm in a dream, but I have things to do in this dream, right? Such as look at myself in the mirror, look in between my hands. These dreams are called lucid dreaming, right? If you ever think about, oh, I had such a vivid dream, but you didn't act upon them, if you weren't able to do things inside of them consciously, like knowing what you're doing and making those decisions for yourself, then that's just a vivid dream. But if you actually end up saying, oh, make a left, and you make a left, and you say, oh, I'm going to make a right, and you make a right in your dream, that's a lucid dream, because you are fully conscious during that state of mind of rapid eye movement. So if I'm making sense, the same consciousness we produce in the waking state while we're awake is the same consciousness that produces while we're sleeping in our deep REM, which is rapid eye movement lucid dream, right? So all of that with being said, it kind of just really triggered all of my research, all of my investigations, and that was my cosmic awakening. That's what I like to call it. That was my cosmic awakening. I was like, okay, so there's definitely more than just life in front of us, right? And then I started learning about atoms and protons and electromagnetic fields and all of these things that are invisible to our own eyes. And I was like, wait, so if we can't even perceive with our own eyes what's going on, then that means that there could be things around us, or there could be things that are above us or below us, who knows, but most likely above us, because as I went on doing this research, I found out about the different planes of dimensions and how we can only perceive up to 10, but there's really 32, and that we're in the third physical dimension. And then, the more dimensional that it gets, the more higher of an intelligence that it gets. Now, where are we going with this? Back in 2021, 2022, there was a lot of UFO, UAP reports, especially coming from the military, right, and the Congress. And there was this one particular person that really caught my eye, but I don't trust her. Her name is Ana Paulina Luna, and she's probably going to watch this and be like, oh my God, look at him. He's a liberal, Democrat, he's a leftist, whatever. I am human before I am ever tied to any systematic program. I am a human being coexisting with the universe before I am tied to any systematic program. So when I say I don't trust someone, believe me, I do not trust that person. But anyways, one thing that she did mention to the public, and I think she was honestly the first one to ever make an impact about what's going on. Like, there's already people talking about it behind closed doors, especially SCIF. And SCIF, if you don't know, is a room where they talk about sensitive information that the public wouldn't be able to understand. And so she kind of mentioned that in those SCIF meetings, they would talk about interdimensional beings. And that really caught my eye, because I was like, interdimensional beings, like, what do you mean? And what really programmed to me, even before I knew about these different dimensions, was that we're not able to see what's in front of us 24/7. So there's something living within us that we can't really perceive or even interact with at the moment, right? And so moving forward, it kind of just led me to realize that these interdimensional beings kind of coexist within these dimensions. Therefore, you know how everything has a kind of a frequency? The 3-dimensional form has the frequency, the 4D has the frequency, the 5D has the frequency, so on and so forth. But the in-between of those dimensions are the beings that kind of protect each dimension from kind of interacting with each other. But that might not be the case anymore. And that was my thinking back then, because what's going on right now is that these interdimensional beings are being very, very interactive. They are being very, very troublemaking to national security, very troublemaking to the military, but they're really not. And I think that's what I'm really wanting to talk about in this conversation, in this topic, because what really, really frustrates me is all of the ongoing media fear mongering. Like, it's just so many people like freaked the F out over these topics, over these beings. First of all, if they're higher dimensional beings doing the things that they're doing, and we're still alive, we have nothing to worry about. And that's number one. The one thing that people are generally worried about, and not even civilians, but people of power, are losing control of the system that's already built today. Because think about it. If all of a sudden aliens were to land, right? Or extraterrestrial lives or advanced civilizations or interdimensional beings, if they were to say, hello, we are here, the public will literally be like, what is the point of working? What is the point of religion? What is the point of even like getting up and following governments if there's something above us, right? And what would that even be like to coexist with a different species that's smarter than us, that's able to communicate, right? So all of these things are, just not talked about enough between our own societies because we're too scared of what we don't know yet. And that's so sad. It's generally so sad to me that there are a good majority of people that are so ready to debunk and to completely disregard what we don't know yet because it's not in front of them yet. I'm just here like, how are we supposed to be open to tomorrow if we're stuck in yesterday? If that makes sense. And that's the best way that I can explain it. And, the significance of us civilians talking about this is very important because we do not have no ties to the government in the sense of we don't have a contract with them. We don't have a signature of disclosure with them. So technically, if we disappear or we are unalive because of having these conversations, then let me tell you something, that is going to cause more of an uproar before an interdimensional being, landing here, right? And so I feel like in my case, it's important to have these conversations because government officials aren't able to, higher intelligent officials aren't able to. There's people in the military branch that are literally threatened to not talk about this. They need to sign these papers to not talk about this. And if they can't, then who is? Who's going to really inform the public that we need to prepare for something that we don't know about yet, right? We need to have a strategy to what is going to happen and not this being released the day of things going down rather than us being gradually prepared for this, right? But the stigma is so bad and religious extremists are so bad that they really just genuinely, they cannot fathom a world where we're all united because they're so addicted to the power that they have. And that really destroys humanity. Because not only that, it's literally proving that all of these things that are being system for us to follow are a literal leash to our consciousness, and it's a psychological warfare that we've been having with the governments and other systematic program for centuries. And it's like, this is the age of disclosure. This is the age of us saying, you know what? There's more out there. There's things in between us that we can't even see. They know how to manipulate physics and they literally know a different side of science that we don't know yet. And we're here worried about shit that happened centuries ago. Like, come on. It's like we need to really wake up to the idea that we need to be catching up to these people. If not, who knows what may happen. And then, so that kind of covers like the government officials being always threatened, the interdimensional beings. It covers consciousness and high frequency because honestly, all of this has to do with like high frequency and low frequency. High frequency is like all the good things. Low frequency is all the bad things, which is where the military is currently at, and government and any systematic religion that keeps you away from being consciously awake. All of that is low frequency, right? Which is why you always see these UAPs and UFOs around nuclear sites, military bases, because these are the places that are the most lowest frequency. They are the ones that really cannot be open to the idea of it, humanity being united in that sense, and that is low frequency. High frequency is all of us being together, all of us being aware, and all of us being ready and being happy and loving and at peace. But for a lot of people demonically, it's really hard to conceptualize love, peace, and unity. Insane to me. It really is, because, you know, I wake up every day and it's for free. It does not cost me a penny to be loving, to be positive, to give the world a new understanding. Like it really don't. It's easy for me. I don't know about you, but there's especially with the military sites and the military bases, there were some UFOs and UAPs spotted in South Dakota and Ellsworth Air Force Base. And these objects, I guess they stood above the IBCM nuclear glass door, which is where they keep the nuclear weapons in America. And right above it, it was standing. There was a UFO UAP standing, right? And my ideology to that, because 28 missiles, nuclear missiles, literally went missing due to a UFO and UAP, and my ideology to that is that they're really trying to protect humankind. And it's only a threat to the national security because it's messing up with their military weapon. But what they don't understand is that outside of this human body, there's no such thing as negativity. There's no such thing as violence or war. The only people that are causing this are them. I may or may not be right, but I think I'm 90% right. And if they ever, because I've been hearing reports about, these beings, interdimensional beings, being a threat to humanity by them attacking certain military people, I'm 100% sure that the only reason why they do that is because we're doing that to them. And like any other species, they're gonna back themselves up, especially if you have biologics of them, especially if you have their UFOs retreated. You know what I mean? These are things that are theirs, right? But like someone else had said in the UFO, in the military official, between the military officials, it is a possibility that these UFOs are, purposely crashed into our world so we can study them and kind of further advance ourselves to their knowledge. So I think all of that is very, very interesting. And I really hope that, all of you guys take this into complete consideration to really apply this to your everyday life and have these conversations with your people, because this is our next era. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, it's here and it's happening as I'm speaking right now, or as you're listening to this right now, right? Another thing that I find really, really funny is that they think that it's from a different foreign country. And I'm just like, bro, these people cannot be that like what's it called? That naive. There's no way that these people are that human, egoistically naive that they think that another country is doing this. Because if that was the case, again, we would have been done for. And second, Russia and China, they have been reporting UFOs just the same way that we have in the field of questioning what it is. So it's like, how are you going to say all of those things when they clearly have reports of them not knowing what the hell this is, and they're literally trying to copy and mimic these objects to their own benefit? What? Like, how are you going to say it's them or it's a different foreign country when literally these other countries are trying to copy and mimic these type of objects? And not only that, but also towards the end of the Age of Disclosure, something really interesting that they mentioned was that these UFOs travel in the space and time bubble. So for example, if this is a UFO, my camera battery, right? It's a UFO, it's around a bubble and it goes really fast, like in the bubble, right? So it's like this, right? And then it goes really, really fast. To us, we're going to calculate it going like 32,000 per miles. But in this little bubble, what they're feeling inside is them cruising 20 miles per hour. So they're really not going 32,000 miles per hour the way that we think they are. They're actually going like 20 miles per hour. We just see it very, very fast because their bubble is kind of stimulated within that space and time for them to be able to travel within that distance and that speed, right? They can manipulate molecules in the air and the ocean for them to travel in between those areas too. So I find that all of that interesting. What else? Oh, they also keep thinking that human ego and dominance is like the core of this entire topic, and it really isn't, because if you listen to a lot of metaphysics, quantum physics, if you talk to a lot of people that believe in the alchemy of the 9 dimensions, they really will sit you down and tell you, hey, we need to be at peace. We need to all be united and together and have a clear understanding of what's going on above us, right? But the program that they systematically apply to human beings, it's so many will say, I need water, hold on. Many will say that it's irreversible. I don't think so, because I have conversations with people who are very religious about this matter, and they're like, okay, so what do we do? And I think that the government is so far out of touch with the reality of what's going on in between the streets of what they are running, that they don't realize that we're ready. Like, we are far more ready than they think that we're not. But I'm telling you, a 90% of the population is ready to transcend into this next lifestyle and this next coexistence with the universe. And even in the Western culture, I'm pretty sure that a good 60% of Gen Zers know exactly what's going on, at least have an idea of what's going on, or are 100% open to listen to what's going on. Unless you're like completely conservatively Republicanly brainwashed. Like that's that type of evil and that type of hatred is irreversible, I fear, unless they really are open to change and open to the idea that they're not the only human beings on this planet. But so far as I know, and I've seen, Republicans and conservative are mentally ill. They're literally like they need therapy. I don't know if they go to therapy, but they need therapy, because the way that their human ego eats their brain and they genuinely feel like they're better than everybody else, is like, oh no, honey, like your way of living is not the only way of living in this planet. And you see that in a lot of people that praise white supremacy, for example, and just their way of living, just that, like, sometimes it's hillbilly, sometimes is, you know, about money. And it's like those type of lifestyles are like a no-go, especially with conversations and fields and topics about the 9 dimensions. Because in all honesty, I feel like someone was telling me how the human behavior is filled with ego. I get that, but there's also a sense of awareness that you have to be able to control, if that makes sense. Like, if someone is telling you, hey, your ego is at 100, can you not bring it down to at least a 70? Like, come on, you know what I mean? I'm able to be a very humble person, and I am generally naturally a very humble person, to the point where I'm having these conversations with you guys. But, you know, it doesn't take a lot for me to, let's say, even if I have a natural human ego moment, it takes me like a good 10 minutes to realize, like, wait, hold on. I can feel my ego right now. I feel like I'm top shit right now. And I'm really not. Like, it's not that I'm not. Like, we're all top shit, if that makes sense. But I am equal to everyone. So I'm not better than anybody else. Or no one is better than anybody else. We are all equal, and we all have to take care of each other. And that's the constant reminder that I always give myself. But people think that, you know, because you're a drug addict, or because you are under poverty, or you are, you know, believing in something and not what they want you to believe in, or do the things that they want you to believe in, that you are less than that person, right? Which is the most ignorant thing, especially as a grown person. If you are over the age of 21 acting like that, I'm telling you, you need intense therapy. Sorry guys, I'm having technical difficulties because my camera just stopped at 30 minutes, which means that I have to wrap this up. But you generally do need therapy if you're in that ideology, and it really just keeps you away from being an actual human being, and you're just on a complete demonic force. But that's very low frequency, by the way. It keeps you so far away from your consciousness and from your being and from your essence and the true, genuine purpose of being a human being on planet Earth. Fully. If you're not working with each other, no matter your differences, you are literally cooked. Like, you are not even a human being. You are an entity from the lowest and the lowest of the frequencies, right? But not to shit too much on these people, because there is hope that they will change and they will become higher of a frequency to be able to meet people that are already consciously awake to this new era of the age of disclosure, and UFO, UAPs, interdimensional beings, advanced civilizations, whatever it is. At some point it's gonna be there without any of us asking us for it, and it kind of already is. It's just literally a little bit more targeted and aimed to places that are not fully aware, because also what I've heard is that these UFO and UAPs are mostly keen to opening people's minds to what is out there, right? So I have this ideology that maybe the reason why they're not around people that are aware of this or open to this is because we already are aware and open. So they may be only going for these UFO and UAPs, people that are not open to it at all. Because, sometimes people need some real, shookening, awakening, and reality check for them to realize that, hey, human, you're not the only one on this universe. There's a lot more of us, and not even in a planet, but in between the dimensions and the air and different frequencies and electromagnetic fields and atoms and parallel universes and all of those amazing concepts that there are out there. So all of that being said, they need our help. Not only are you the UFOs and UAPs, but people that are in these military bases, people that are, that sign disclosures, that had to sign disclosures, and people that really, really, really genuinely want the best for us and for the public by having a clear understanding of what this is. They need our help. They need our help because we don't have no ties and no contract or nothing signed to the government that says that we cannot speak about this in between our homes. So tell your neighbors that aliens are here. Not so much, but interdimensional beings are here. Higher intelligence beings are here. Advanced civilizations are here. Higher dimensional beings are here. Call it. And if it makes you comfortable to stay within your religious field, angels and demons, or no, not even. Oh my God. There's no such thing as negativity outside of the human body, but angels are here. Just let them know the angels are here, and we need to be open to them because they want to help us. They want us to transcend into this next phase of life, but the government is not letting us. So that's definitely what's going on. And I'm not talking about the president. I don't like the president at all. Any president, honestly, that's been in office, they haven't been my favorite, but or they haven't been good at all. Like, they literally are like very concerning people. But presidents don't have this information. They don't even know who to go to. Okay, sometimes even higher intelligence, people that are working in the White House don't even know where to go to for this information. I think it's a very, very high elected, just, I don't know, official, like, intelligence committee people that are really working with this field, that are literally stopping everyone from knowing and exposing any thoughts and ideas about the situation. Now it's gradually opening and it's gradually exposing to the public, but it's up to us to really take it to that extent. And so this is why becoming one is a thing, and this is why FOCA is a thing, because we are here to create the space, the safe space to talk about these conversations and really, really, really dive into how can we prepare ourselves to manage and deal with this type of lifestyle, because it's going to be completely new. It's going to be nothing that we've ever known of. It's going to literally deteriorate sociologically our entire society structure completely. Like, no more 9 to 5s. Unfortunately, as really harsh as it sounds, I'm not an atheist. I'm nothing like that. If anything, I was baptized, Catholic, and I have to say these things for people that can grab this video and make me look like I'm nuts or cuckoo or whatever the case is. But sometimes we have to leave religion behind. We have to leave politics behind. We have to leave everything that systematically divided us: racism, classism, money. All of that's going to be gone, because at the end of the day, what it really all comes down to is that we are one human race, one human species sharing this planet that clearly with higher dimensional and higher entities that have been around us in settings and filters that we cannot see with our own eyes or perceive or feel with our own eyes yet. So with that being said, thank you so much, every single one of you, for listening, for watching. I really cannot wait to read all of your comments, and I cannot wait for you to share this with your families and your friends, and to genuinely prepare for this future, this very exciting, scientifically induced future. I cannot wait, because there are things that we would have never imagined that these people are already been doing. So with that being said, this space is not just for me, but it's for you. It's for all students around the world that are academically interested in this field. Everything I just said that came out of my mouth, you can do your research. You can talk to military officials, all of these people in Congress. They would tell you that there's not one lie that I said about everything that I just mentioned in this podcast. Not one lie. And mind you, this is just the beginning. So thank you so much. Make sure you follow us on all of our social medias and stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.